Welcome to another episode of Real BMX Racing, the podcast. Today's episode is sponsored by Wrenchman Wheel Builds, Recycles Bike Shop, and Zach and Bianca over there at Team Wrenchman Racing. Today we have a very special guest as always. He is the 8-time state champ, 6 times Gold Cup champ, 11 times national champ, junior men's world number 6, 2016 Olympic Team USA alternate, former elite men's pro, and now racing Vet Pro. He is also the founder of the Driven Cycling Academy, Big Jeff Upshaw.
Doing well. Just got home from the hospital last night with our second baby girl, so we're a father of 2, so we're adjusting.
What's her name?
Our second baby's Lene. So Lene in London.
Lene? And where are you at right now? Where are you? Where was she born at? What state?
We're in Boise, Idaho. So she was born in a little town called Nampa, just right outside of Boise here.
Okay. Is that where you're from originally?
No, I'm originally from Dayton, Ohio.
Okay. So what took you out to where you are now?
Just kind of chasing the dream of BMX racing, you know. I kind of traveled around a bit, lived in Washington for a couple of years, moved out to San Diego, and then I had met a girl in a previous relationship that brought me here, and it's kind of been gold here ever since. You know, it's been a diamond in the rough living here, and kind of figuring out who Jeff Upshaw is, so it's been awesome.
So you lived in my stomping grounds in California, and you decided to leave it, huh?
Yeah, you know, at the time, man, I was really there just training for the Olympics, so it was too expensive, man, to enjoy life, man. And when I moved here,
That's why.
I moved here, man, and I was like, man, here it is. This is an opportunity for me to create something and become something more than just what I was as known as a racer. And yeah, quality of life, man, is what I'm chasing nowadays.
Right. Yeah, no doubt, man. That's why I'm in North Carolina.
Yes, sir.
All right, so we're going to get started off. Shannon, you got any questions for us to start off with?
Yeah, we could start this off with just asking you we know you race BMX now. Were you involved with any other sports as a kid before BMX? Or was this your first love as far as sports?
No, I played a few different sports. But BMX came along very early in my life, and once that happened, I was all in. You know, so I started off playing.
How was this? The ones you started? Okay.
Yeah. Sorry. Yeah. I was going to say, yeah, once I started playing t-ball and got involved in basketball, you know, just normal traditional sports. And then BMX came along right around my seventh birthday, and that was my choice, right?
You've been doing this for a long time, bro.
I have, man. I have.
So, congratulations when you made the Olympic team. 27 years?
Yes, sir.
Nice. Sorry, I'm catching a little bit of a lag over here on my end. One of the things I was going to ask you is, so what was it like actually getting involved with the Olympics and all that? Take me through that.
So it was kind of an unknown process, to be honest, in the beginning. I know when BMX was featured in the Olympics in 2008, you know, I wanted to be a part of it. But at the time, I didn't really know how. You know, I lived in Dayton, Ohio, and I didn't really have any access to the people that knew how to get involved in that. So I kind of moved around, as I mentioned. I moved to Washington and got some great support from a family that took me in as one of theirs, and started to train and understand what the training process was to be a professional athlete. And then I moved down to San Diego and took the opportunity in 2016 with one goal, and that was just to make the Olympic team. So I moved down there and I was able to room up with Nick Long and a few other pros from around the country that were living there at the time training.
Nice.
from there, I kind of got involved with the right people. I was able to go and train at the Olympic Training Center a couple days a week, got my face in front of the director there, Jamie Staff, and, really just started chipping away. It was a short season to the Olympics at the time. Like I moved to California like January 1st, and the Olympics were in August. So I hired myself a coach, which was Kristen Besserine at the time, and he kind of helped me understand the structure to get to where I wanted to be. And it was a fairly heavy workload, but it was great to kind of see what it was going to take to go after such a goal. My nutrition had to be better. I had to lose some weight. I was training at the track 3 days a week, and then the gym twice a week, and sprinting. And then I had, mandatory days of rest. And then from there, we kind of put the puzzle pieces together on what events I needed to go to and what kind of performance I needed to have at those events. And, we really set the target on that and just showed up to each race and tried to be present and capitalize on being one of the top 3 best Americans each weekend. So very, very cool process to be a part of. Once I kind of figured out what I needed to do, I just had to go to bat.
There we go. So I guess I got one question for you. Did you get the Olympic tattoo?
No, I didn't. I imagine if I would have got a medal there, I would have for sure. But no, I didn't go into those things for that.
Okay, because I noticed a lot of the athletes that I see, the moment they get to the Olympics, boom, they pop them up. Next time you see them, you see the rings on them somewhere, and you're like, yep, there you go. You can spot an Olympic.
Yeah, there's something to be said about that, and I think a lot of it is, when you write something down, it becomes concrete, right? It's a little bit more real for you. So I think when people put the tattoo on themselves, it's within doubt that they're going to make it. They really strive for that. So I get the meaning behind it, but no, it wasn't a part of my plan.
No doubt. Shannon?
Was that your ultimate goal, was to reach the Olympics, or is it the Hall of Fame, or, when does this all end? When do you feel like you accomplished everything you wanted to accomplish?
I don't think I've looked at the whole grand scheme of the picture yet, but, if I have to think about it in sections, the Olympics was something that I felt could be life-changing for me and my family, and, I wanted to hang my hat on that, right? At least be a part of that to open up opportunities for my future. So that was definitely one of the goals. I think after that, it was really hard for me to put my finger on what I wanted as far as, how life was kind of changing and shifting. But for me now, it's just to kind of get back to the sport and have a legacy. I want to be able to teach as many kids as I can to have success at sport through the things that I went through, just helping them understand the way. It does get tough, and the road may not always stay the same, but you can always go after what you want.
So, who are your current sponsors right now?
So Driven Cycling Academy is the biggest one. That's me. That's the company that I run. It's a training-based company, based out of Idaho here. And then I'm involved with Chase Bicycles, Tioga, Avian, ODI, Renin, Profile Racing, and 100%. So we got a few people backing us, helping us, kind of put the puzzle pieces together for my program. So yeah, it's been fun, man.
Okay, well, tell me a little bit about your program. What is that exactly about?
Okay, so Driven Cycling Academy is a training-based program. I also run a team. It was kind of a small niche thing in the very beginning where I just wanted to select few riders to kind of work with. And mostly the kids that I was working with in the beginning were riders that, just didn't know what to do, which most of us, when we get to the track, have a hard time doing. But it was just to help kids say, hey, when I go to the track, I'm going to work on these things that I need to be better at, plus the things that I'm already good at, and then give them some structure throughout the week. So my whole goal with Driven Cycling Academy is to just, again, help kids and riders create great habits towards success. And the bicycles happen to be the catalyst for it all in their development. I think in life we got to create great habits to have the success we want in all the areas. So doing it with something that you already enjoy is a lot easier to do. So that's what my program's about. it's no longer just a team program. I have individual riders that are coached underneath me, and we have a whole training platform for them using a training app with how-to videos, and we have a lot of mental programs that they go through to help them have that mental strength that they need, and to go out there and race races and accomplish what they want.
Okay, so would you say, like, with your program and everything, boom, some kid comes off the street, he's athletic, but he wants to give BMX a try, but, he knows how to ride a little bit, but he doesn't really know what goes into BMX. You'd be able to take him from that basic novice all the way up to whatever you feel like he wants his goals to be matched with, like expert, maybe even if like pro?
100%. Yes, sir, 100%. I'm in the middle right now building out a new course that's basically going to be a program that anybody can read and learn how to do whatever part of BMX they need to have, need to be good at or they want to be good at. So, but right now, a lot of what I do is very hands-on. So when you get involved with my program, you're dealing with me on the day-to-day basis. We're coordinating and making sure that your plan is set up for exactly what you need, and we're making progress in all those areas. But yes, sir, anything that I've done in my career, I'm able to apply to the next person. So from ground one all the way to the top.
Is your program location based, or could you train online with somebody?
Yes, we can definitely train online. Technology is key. Just as we're in front of each other now, kind of the same things we use in my program. I have a training app that gives you 7 days a week of programs to be done, whether it's sprints or gym or track work. All that stuff is put into video. So when you go into the app and you have the workouts in there, you can click the video and it kind of walks you through on how to do it. And then we coordinate via video to correct things that need to be corrected. So very hands-on. It's almost like I'm there with you.
Okay, can we plug that? Like, what's the information if somebody wants to get hold of you?
Yeah, so just you can drop over to Driven Cycling Academy at Instagram, or I kind of plugged in drivenbmx.com, and you can get on there. You can shoot us an email, get in contact with us, and we can take you from there. Awesome.
Shannon, you got any more questions?
Yeah, are you going to want your kids to race once they're that age? Because I know they're young now. Is that something you look forward to doing with them?
Yeah, I do. I want them to have something that's very natural to them. That was something my dad gave me, and I found BMX and it clicked for me, and I just continue to punch at it. So if my girls want to take into BMX, which they're going to be around it a lot, I'm more than happy to help them, guide them down the direction that they want to go. So I'm more of that type of person. I'm not mandating that they do it. BMX is an amazing sport, but it comes with a lot of support. You got to have a lot of support to do it, and sacrifice, and so
Definitely.
it's not as fruitful as some other sports in the financial realm. So it just all depends on what they're after. For me, I chase having a good time, and BMX supplied that for me.
So it sounds like you had that support as a kid from your family, correct?
I did. Yeah. My dad was he was my sidekick. He took me to all the races. We went to practices together. Nice. And, his biggest thing that he saw in the sport was that it was going to keep me out of trouble. It gave me something to focus my energy on, and it was positive. Being competitive is a very healthy thing for all of us. So he saw that in the beginning, and saw that I took to it. So he did whatever he needed to do to help me, continue to stay a part of it.
Was he an athlete, or did your mom play sports? Like, where did this come from?
So from what I hear, one of my uncles did BMX in Illinois. He had a bike and rode some of the skate parks and the little wood jumps in the woods, and there was a track called Rock for BMX, and he was out there every now and then. But how I got a part of the sport, my dad was a dare officer in the Air Force,
and love dare.
he had to speak about non-traditional sports with his class, and BMX happened to be one of those non-traditional sports, and I ended up getting involved at the age of 7 with a bicycle, and, it was like history since,
Nice.
So were you the fastest one out of all your friends?
So when I think about it, when I lived in the Air Force base, like nobody else on base raced BMX when I first got started. So I actually went to the track and I fell like 5 or 6 times my first lap, and I was like, you know what, this isn't for me. Like, it was overwhelming. I didn't know anybody there, and I wasn't as good as everybody else was. And so I took a step back for a little bit, and then I had a kid at my local school bring a bike in for show and tell, and I was like, dude, I got one of those too. So I started going to the track with him, and we were about the same when it came to speed, and skill. So we kind of pushed each other. I didn't really excel until I moved to Ohio. Like once I moved back to Ohio, where I was originally born, and started racing, like I was by far the best kid in my age, and even some of the ages above me. So that made me feel good, and it was definitely easy to navigate from there.
Okay. Shoot. I was gonna say, hold on real quick. I think my camera's gone off. Oh, there it goes. We're good. Never mind. We're good. I wasn't sure I was gonna have to reset everything, but yeah, we're good. Chen, you got anything else?
Yeah. So once you knew this is what you wanted to do, I mean, besides that little stint you had when you were younger, that you might have said, this is not for me, bro. I don't want to do this. Was there ever a period that you just was like, I don't know, bro, like you had a major accident maybe, or maybe just you wanted to go to school, or I mean, any situation that made you just want to just give it up and just, that's it, bro, I'm done?
Yeah, no, for sure. There's always that test, and I think this goes for everybody. You're like a teenager becoming a man. You got a girlfriend. You got to start making more money. So I was at the age of 21 years old, man, and I struggled. This is before I kind of moved out to the West Coast and really figured out how to be a professional athlete. But prior to that, like I was racing, I was riding the track, as I did when I was a kid. But I wasn't training in the gym yet. I didn't really know what that was, and I was pretty stubborn. But I still wanted this life outside of racing. I wanted to have my girlfriend. I wanted to go hang out with my buddies and play pool and drink at the bar, and all that stuff was kind of, in a sense, counterintuitive to what I was trying to accomplish. So yeah, I got to a point, man, where I broke my arm one year, and then I was like, man, my girlfriend wants me to stay home more. Like all these things started happening, and I ended up stopping. I didn't race for 8 months. I started working at a car dealership, and that strapped me in, and I didn't have weekends off anymore, and it made it hard. So I actually quit for about 8 months, man, and then I had an opportunity to come back around, and it was exactly what was missing. BMX is like a huge part of a lot of our lives. It's really hard to get away from, in a sense that nothing really fulfills you the same way that BMX does. So I overcame those situations and kind of realigned myself on what was important. And that allowed me to navigate a lot more clearly, and it allowed me to get rid of the things that were distractions.
Got you.
So now that you're older, wiser, and everything, how are you balancing your family life, your business life, and your racing life?
Yeah, that's a good question. We take it one day at a time. I try to make sure that I put my family first. Make sure everything is good at home and they have everything they need to be taken care of, because BMX, it takes a lot of time. We got to travel quite a bit to be at events, and I was really grateful this past year to be able to take my family with me to several events, and that made it pretty good for us to be able to travel and create that bond on the road. And for me, business is like an everyday thing. We have to do it, and I love what I do, and my family understands that's what allows us to have the life that we have. So it works well. We're all on the same page, and that's what helps the most. We get to travel together, or if I just have to go and race on my own, I try to go there and get the job done and come back home. And I do a lot of the training and coaching here locally, and then most of my stuff's online. So that kind of gives me some time back to focus on who I am as an athlete, who I am as a father, and then who I am as a coach. Those kind of become the sections on the day. So it can be tough, but I have, like I said, my whole team's on board. We're on the same page, and we understand the same common goal. So that makes it pretty easy to structure what we need to the way that it needs to happen.
Sounds like a very solid foundation.
Yes. Yeah.
All right. So can we expect to see you in Houston?
I won't be in Houston. Like I said, we just had our second baby yesterday. We just came home. So we will be waiting to hit Florida in just a few weeks. And again, family's first. I want to make sure that we're in the right place here and they're all doing well before I head out to go and do some racing. So we'll be in Florida at the end of the month.
Okay. So let me ask you this, because you're a vet pro, right?
Yes, sir.
Is there any vet pros that still race UCI?
No, the only UCI events we can partake in are like the UCI World Championships. But, the way that the sport is set up, like riders are not able to like cross, right? So if you're a vet, you stay vet. That's part of the USA BMX circuit. If you were to race elite, you can't do both in the same season. So, like you would have probably saw earlier or towards the tail end of last year, like Twan Van Gant came over and raced in Florida one day as a vet pro, and then he raced elite the second day. He thought that he'd be able to come back and race vet in Tulsa, and he was not able to do so. So once you're pretty much set up in the category you're in that category and for at least a year, or you have to not race for 9 months to be able to move around.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah, I've heard that before.
Yeah.
So quick scenario.
Yes.
I'm sorry, you going to say something?
I was going to say, it'd be awesome to kind of dip your toes in and race elite and come back. I think it'd be cool as far as, keeping the excitement there. But, yeah, unfortunately not.
So quick scenario. You have a parent that just bought his kid a bike, a mid-level bike around maybe $500-600, a nice bike, stock bike. He races for a few months. He's not really winning. The parent wants to invest some more money in him. He has about $300 or $400 more that he wants to invest in his kid. I mean, should he be giving that money to you or be giving that money to J&R Bicycles?
Yeah, he's definitely going to want to get a coach. He's definitely want to get a coach. I mean, I think there's a time and place where components become an issue. But I think, when it comes to anything, you gotta look at it this way. You gotta make sure that the vehicle, right, which is in BMX is the body, is fine tuned for the task. You can have the best bike in the world and still not make progress with the skills that you need to be actually out there doing what it is that you feel you can accomplish. So, you definitely want to invest into a coach. You want to get somebody that's going to help you learn things that you don't know. I mean, and that's in all things in the world, right? Like if you're not good at finances, you want to find somebody that is, and if you got to pay that person to help you understand that knowledge, that's going to set you far further than somebody taking you to the water, and telling you to drink this, you know what I mean? So,
right.
Definitely investing in the knowledge is going to be very key.
Yep.
What's your gears that you're running right now?
I kind of play around a little bit, but my standard gear, man, I like is a 4416 with a Tioga 175 rear tire. That's been my bread and butter for years. I deviate away from that sometimes and go a little lighter and run like a 4617, which is a little less tension, but a bigger kind of California style rollout. And then sometimes I'll venture a little bit heavier and I'll go to like a 4717, which is a bit bigger of a gear. And it just kind of all depends on where I'm at in my training and how my body's feeling, So BMX is like a gamble on resistance and spin. It depends on where you're at in your training and how your body's adapting on, and that kind of tells you what you'll be able to push. Sometimes you can get more out of a gear when you're in a strength training, phase of your program versus like maybe being in season and you're doing a little bit less gym work and you're able to kind of fine tune that spin a little bit more.
Okay.
So that gear sounds like you're riding a regular 20-inch bike, not an OS 20. Have you considered an OS 20?
Say that one more time. You kind of cut out.
I said, by the gear that you just named, the 4416, it sounds like you're riding a regular 20-inch bike. And I was asking if you ever considered an OS 20.
I'm currently on a 20-inch frame. Chase. I'm running Chase Carbon Act 1.2 right now.
Okay.
But yeah, I've considered riding the OS 20. They're supposed to release one, early spring this year, and I'll give it a try. I mean, for me,
Oh yeah.
I think things are worth a gamble, especially me racing Vet Pro. Like there's some room to try new things out. So yeah, I'll be giving one a try once it becomes available.
I'm looking forward to that. Cool.
So what's your 2023 plans? So what are we talking about as far as, have you set that out for what you want to do as far as coming into Grands? Like, are we planning on taking it?
Yeah. I think this past year is my first full year racing Vet Pro alongside having a new one in the family. So, it was a bit challenging. I found myself like not having a good balance until later on in the year. I was like, okay, well, I can wake up early in the morning, get my training done as an athlete, and then come home and be dad and be coach in the evening. So, I want to take another take at it. I think this year we'll chase the title. I'm only going to miss like one event this year versus last year I missed like 4. So we'll have a better opportunity to get some points on the board early. So yeah, that's one of my goals as a Vet Pro. And then as far as the coaching sides go, like I mentioned before, I have a new program that should roll out next month to kind of help. There'll be a program on there for everybody, from little Johnny that just started. He's just trying to learn how to balance in the gate to a professional athlete that needs a structured program. So that's something else that I'll be doing on the coaching end, alongside working the RISE program with USA BMX. So it's a underprivileged youth program that'll kind of bounce around the world, hopefully throughout the year, but it'll be based in Tulsa again this year. So I'll be working with that, helping kids get on bikes and, again, build some structure towards some great habits to take into the real world. And as well as helping coach the USA cycling program. So, all the up-and-comer campers that are looking to take a hack at becoming an Olympic champion in the future, I'll be helping coach those programs out in Tulsa as well.
So, okay, one question that I wanted to ask. Do you look at BMX like, who am I up against? This athlete, or do you treat it like golf or like, I'm up against myself. I can only do as good as I can do, and I'm not worried about what anybody else can do.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's the goal, is to look at it like I'm up against myself, but, you'd be stupid not to know who you're going up against and what they're capable of, you know what I mean? So those are the measures that you look at when you go into your training. You can go and train and do the same sprints all the time and get the same reward from it. But once you understand who you're up against, you can kind of make sure that you have all those areas covered yourself, so that when it is time to go race, like, you guys can really, you can have the upper hand per se.
So who's your top 2 Vet Pros you got your eyes on?
Barry is for sure, kind of got it figured out. You guys can tell this past year, man, he set a blaze. I think he went like nine weekends in a row winning both days. So he's definitely the top target, and I know he's very focused and ready to do it all over again. So he's definitely a guy that I have my eyes on. We have several other riders too that are really fast, like Emilio Sala and Alan Hudson, and we'll have some newcomers that'll come into the class this year as well, just because they're of age. But I would go to say, man, my target's really on Barry. He's very well-rounded. He's a great starter. He can ride the track really well. He's aggressive. So, when it comes down to it, I think he's the guy that I'm going to set my eyes on all year long, and look forward to being in front of him.
Of course, that'd be awesome. We can't wait to see that. What you got for us, Shannon?
Yeah,
right,
it'll be exciting, man.
When you're training,
what?
I was going to say, it'll be exciting, man. We're coming off our off season over here, so we're a little cold. We haven't been on the bike since Tulsa. I haven't put the tires up yet, but we'll get started on the sprinting stuff this week.
Awesome.
So when you're training, or let me ask you, when you're on the gate, do you watch the lights or do you listen for the beep?
So I listen. I try to focus on the lights, but for me, like, it's a 2-step snap for me. Like, I'll look at the lights, I'll drop my head and then go. And, obviously, today's world with the random gate, like, there's no hesitation. You got to be ready to fire on all cylinders. So what works best for me is just to I look out just in front of the gate a touch. And just focus on listening and going on that first beat.
Do you train your kids, your students, to do the same?
I let them find what's natural for them. Some people enjoy looking up, and it's easier for them to look up. So it's whatever verbal cues are really good for you. So that's what I kind of let them figure out.
Gotcha.
Since you've been racing for a while, you came from the dirt tracks, right?
Yes.
Do you prefer the dirt tracks, or you like this new style?
You kind of get spoiled riding the new track. So when you come back to dirt, it's a bit tough. So I would say I really enjoy smooth surface. Our tracks here in Boise, we only have one track that has paved corners. The other ones are just full of dirt, and we don't have slurry or anything on them yet. So I get to ride both, but I enjoy a hard, smooth track for sure.
For some reason, I always look at the track and I think, whenever I see a dirt track, and this is just my old mind, I'm like, well, you know what? If I fall, it's just dirt, and I know I'll bounce a little bit better on dirt than I will on a slurry surface. And it might not even be true, but my head is just like, I'll be okay if I hit dirt.
No, I mean, you're true. When it comes down to it, that is 100% true. I think I try not to think about wrecking, but when I do, I definitely think in the same way. Like, I definitely do not want to take a risk here versus over here. You know what I mean?
Right. So what's your favorite on-season food versus your favorite off-season food?
Man, I'm a big foodie, so I struggle in this area. It's really hard for me to stay on task when it comes to eating, what I should be eating for race fuel. We eat out. We don't eat out a lot. We cook a lot of different items here in my home. My fiance, she's Spanish, so we eat a lot of food from her culture, and I like soul food and seafood and it all. But when
that's
I stay
both
in
worlds
season,
right there.
Yes. So when I stay in season, man, I really try to think about like how much I'm eating and what things those things that I'm eating are going to do for me. So. Having a little bit more carbs around race day and, having, more simple and whole food items is really what I try to focus on, because it's easy to pack on some weight when you're eating a plethora of things. So we try to keep it straightforward and simple.
What's your favorite track?
Oh man, so many have changed over the years, but I would have to say, man, if I had to talk about my career and what tracks I've rode, like the old Louisville track was amazing. The flat starting hill, that's always one of my favorites. Outside of that, if we had to talk about today's tracks that are available, I've always been a fan of Rock Hill, the new Tulsa track in Tulsa is amazing. At the headquarters there, that track's really, really nice. It's very technical. It's fast. It supplies a lot of demand out there. So yeah, that track's one of my favorites as well.
Okay.
So you'll be at Rock Hill this coming March, correct?
Yes, sir. I'll be there.
Very cool, man.
We'll probably be there racing as well, but my buddy over here broke his leg at Grants a couple months ago.
Oh, bummer. I hope you're healing up okay.
Ankle, man. Broke his ankle. He's like 90, so he ain't doing too hot.
It can be tough, man. I can tell you, just to talk on that a little bit too, like nutrition, we always think about it, to lose weight, but it's very huge for inflammation and the healing process of the body. So, I try to preach that to all my clients that I work with too. Like, nutrition just isn't about the look. Like, it literally helps you heal. And, so if you're having a hard time healing over there, think about some of those things that you could add in,
Do you know anybody that has, anybody in like the Vet Pro class or in the Pro class that hasn't sustained like a major injury? Do we all get broken up?
We do, and we come back wanting more.
I know, bro. I know. Even when you're old like me, it's the same thing.
Yeah, literally. Like we were just talking about the other day. I was like, it's crazy. Like BMX, you could literally go like have a life-threatening injury and like come back and want more.
Yeah. But I was going to say last year, me and Shannon both broke our ribs.
Yeah. And you were like, well, as soon as I heal up, I'll get back out there.
Yeah.
That's why I did. I broke my ankle, and now I got a new bike, bro. You know, it's like, yeah, that's what we do.
Love it. So yeah, we're committed to sport.
Yeah.
But I would have to say, man, like, you know, when it comes to injuries, I think everybody has. I think one of the first people that I know that didn't have an injury for like the first 20 years of their career was like George Daudet. I mean, he didn't have his first big injury till like 2.5 years ago. And it set him back.
Wow.
Yeah, it set him back a little bit. You know, he came fourth a little bit quicker, and then he kind of was in the back of the pack. He just didn't trust himself as much as he does again now. But yeah, man, I don't think there's anybody that's been doing this thing for 10 years, you know, or even 5 years at that hasn't got hurt, because it's demanding. We're at the track a couple days a week. We're racing on the weekends, and there's a lot of uncontrollable things on race day that we can't do anything about. Plus, when we're training, like, we're always trying to push ourselves to the max. So within that, you know, it leaves us vulnerable for injury.
Right.
So has there ever been a time when you were racing and you might have partied too much before, and then you got into the race and you were just like, oh, I probably shouldn't have stayed up late that night, and you felt it at the track?
Yeah, no, there has been times. You know, I used to be the guy, like, when I moved to California, I kind of learned a new life. I was like, man, like, now, like, these guys are pros. Like, they're training Monday, Wednesday, Friday, but, like, Saturday, Sunday, they're getting lit, you know? So I learned that when I moved there, you know? So there was times where, like, when I first got out there, I was like, man, Mondays, like, we partied a little too much on Saturday night into Sunday. Like, Monday's going to be rough when we got to get on the Supercross hill, and I got full laps. So there's been times, and, you know, you just learn through everything. I had probably 2 of those sessions, and I was like, yeah, that's not going to help me get towards my goal. So we prioritize things differently. Like, if we're going to enjoy a day on the weekend, it's going to be Saturday, and Sunday is a full day of rest, and we're going to be ready for Monday. But I can tell you, nowadays, you know, everybody's putting their body to the limits, and I can tell you, if the guys that are winning out front, they are not partying and staying up late. Every day counts, you know. In my era, when I came up, I mean, you could get away with it, you know, because everybody was doing that. You know what I mean? But now there's guys that are making sure their nutrition's on point. They're eating at the same time every day. They're training at the same time every day. You know, they're going to sleep at the same time. Their routine is so perfect that if yours is not, you won't hang. So I can say that's not it ain't no doing that in the elite class these days. I think in some of the other classes you can probably still get away with it a little bit, but if you're trying to be the best, man, you're all in all areas.
Would you, and you know what, I just want to ask a slightly off-topic question. Would you say if you were to line up in a foot race with like Barry Nobles, do you think it would transition the same way as if you guys were on bicycles?
I do, very much so. I mean, we have one foot in front of the other when we're pedaling, so it's the very same sequence. And a matter of fact, like, we do some of that stuff in our training drills, where we do a lot of footwork, which is very, very similar to what we do on the bike. So I think so. And, you know, another thing too, man, like, people that are out there winning, they've got it figured out. They know exactly what it feels like to want something and know what it feels like to know that they can go and get it. So I don't think it really changes on the platform that we're on, especially when it comes to running and pedaling the bicycle.
Okay.
You know, I think in my class it does though. Like, I'm 51, I'm 51, 55 intermediate. And so I look at some of these guys, I'm 5'8", 135 pounds, bro. I'm just a little nothing. I'm racing guys your size, bro. You know, like 6 feet, 200 pounds, bro. Or even some guys that are overweight. I look at them and I think I'm a fast runner. I look at them and I'm like, I could surely beat them in a foot race. But then they come out the gate and they're like 3 bikes ahead of me, bro. It's like, what is going on?
Yeah, it's a power to weight ratio thing. You know, when it comes to it, like a bicycle, there's so many other factors.
Yeah.
You know, we're like rolling downhill, right? If you're to roll downhill, you have a hill that's helping you give you some momentum, right? That's like a starting gate and a jump. So there's some different factors that are involved, but when you're sprinting, man, like, I think when you put 2 athletes that are very similar in their capabilities, you know, you're
I
going to
think
have
we're
that.
losing them.
Damn it.
Jeff,
I know, right?
come back.
Oh, we lost them.
He'll probably come back in, no? Can
Yeah.
he come back in? Right?
Yeah, you should be able to. Let me, I guess I'll stop recording right now. That's all right. So, I forgot what we were saying.
Talk about sprinting on a bike and sprinting on feet, you know. I think, again, man, like, I think to me, like, the times that I've been having a very good sprint on my bike, like, I've been very efficient on my feet, you know. So to me, without having done the same thing, I think it's very similar, you know, especially when you have two athletes that have kind of pushed the threshold of success and how much their body could obtain.
Do you do running sprints for training?
Yeah, so, you know, I use a lot of sprinting techniques, like for our dynamic warm-ups and stuff. So, like single leg jumps and fast feet and high knees and all that stuff. So we do have parts of our program and certain parts of the season where we'll do like uphill running sprints on feet. But again, it's very similar, you know, or we'll use stairs, you know, looking to capitalize on those moving components and the heart rate. So, yeah, we implement those things.
Cool.
Awesome. So what was your first bike?
So my very first BMX bike was a GT Mach 1. It was a chromoly junior frame, I believe. In like 1996 was the first time I got my bike for my birthday. So, yeah.
Okay. Did you come out the gate winning? Did you go from novice to expert pretty fast?
You know what? Like, I lived in California. I lived in Edwards Air Force Base and raced at Valencia BMX, which, like, at the time was the home track of the original Answer team, like Bubba Harris and Mike Day when they were in their teens. And no, like, I raced intermediates as a novice there, right? So, like, it took me a while to be able to get those wins to turn intermediate. You know, we raced at Bakersfield as well throughout time for the state races and stuff, but it took me a while, man. Like, I raced some pretty tough competition growing up, and I didn't really start winning until I moved to Ohio. Like, I moved to Ohio, and it was like instantly I was like beating the guy that had been number one in my class for the 5 years prior to me being there, you know?
Right.
And I pretty much took off from there. I started racing regional races, like state races and stuff, and I was, you know, the best around the area. And then I started racing nationals that were close to me, and I was already on the podium in those first couple of years. So, you know, now I think moving forward from there, once I started racing like some of the nationals outside of my area, that's when I found more competition. You know, I started going West Coast a little bit or down to Florida, and that's when I started finding more competition. But it took me probably, you know, a few months before I started winning on those platforms, and I won the NBL Grands the first time at the age of 10, and won that pretty much until I was 19 years old or 17 years old and turned pro. And on the ABA side was a little bit tougher because those guys, again, like, there's just stiffer competition. You know, they had a lot of superior guys to look up to that were doing phenomenal stuff, and so they just progressed a lot better. So I didn't make a main event on the ABA Grands until I was like 11 or 12 years old, and 13 actually was the first year I made it. And, you know, I still haven't won an ABA National NAG 1 title. I was up for it for that in M1 one year and broke my arm at the Fall Nationals. And the year prior to that, I was up for it, but ended second to Danny Kellogg in 17-18 expert. And so that's one that's kind of got away from me. But, yeah, you know, I know today people kind of say the same thing. The guys on the West Coast are really, really good, you know.
Okay. Shannon, you got anything else?
Yeah, let me just ask you one last thing on my end. Have you ever got into mountain bikes or road bikes?
Yeah, so I do a little bit of it on some cross training. I have a road bike. I ride that often, but I haven't got into, like, any road racing. I did do a dual slalom race for mountain bike a couple years back, but it just didn't take to it too much just because BMX is such a packed season. You know, it's really hard to jump in and do 2 cycling disciplines in 1 year when you're racing BMX, but it's of interest of mine. I definitely enjoy, you know, riding, doing some dual slalom tracks and cutting up on a trail. And road racing isn't definitely something I'm excited for, but
there we go.
I do like to get out there and ride it quite a bit. You know, it's definitely it's good cross training for sure.
Okay. So, what's this say? So, the one thing also too I wanted to ask you was, what was your first sponsorship?
My very first sponsor was Whitman's Bike Shop in Dayton, Ohio. It was a local bike shop that was like one of the bike shops. It had all the bike parts. The people that raced for the team at the time were like Todd Lyons back in the day, and it was just phenomenal. It was a very phenomenal place to go and ride, you know, and be a part of. So I raced for those guys for 3 years, and then trying to transition to a factory sponsor by a bike company called Roadkill out of Florida.
Okay, cool. Sounds really cool. So are we done having kids? Is that it? 4 of us,
yeah,
or what are we gonna do next?
I wanted to take my hack at having a boy, man, but I think 2 is enough for us right now, you know? I think about it this way, man. Like, I think life happens in many ways. Some people have kids early and some have them a little bit later when they're a bit more established. But, you know, when my girls graduate high school, I think I'm going to be in my late 50s, you know? And I plan to still be moving really well then, but I couldn't imagine having
definitely.
3 kids in diapers at once. You know, 2 is already challenging enough, and we're only 4 days in.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
So.
Yeah, I got lucky because my kids are 8 years apart, so my daughter was able to kind of help babysit her brother when she got a little bit older, and got like a little certificate when she was like 12 or 13. Like, Dad, look, I got a certificate. I can do this now. I can babysit. And I'm like, sure, yeah, okay, I got you.
Yeah, man. 100%. So yeah, that's it. You know, and I think too, man, like for me right now, I think about like our current lifestyle, you know, and I currently have to travel quite a bit to do what we want to do right now, you know, as far as running my business,
right,
and still kind of selfishly racing to the extreme that I do. So we couldn't do it with 3. That'd be a lot harder, you know. I'd be more stressed on Mama Bear and, you know, a little more stressed on Dad when he's gone. And so I think 2 will be manageable, man, for now. And, you know, they always say, like, when you get older, like, when, you know, your kids are old, you know, and they're out the house, like, you're going to wish you had another one, you know, and I'm hoping my girls can have kids by that time, right?
Right.
So that's the American dream for me.
There it is. That's pretty much all I got. Shannon, are you good on your end?
That's it, bro. Thank you so much, Jeff.
Thank you very much for your time, man.
Yeah, thank you guys very much. I appreciate you having me on.
All right, indeed, brother. We'll see you out there at the track.
All right. You guys take care.
All right. You too.